Did you know your credit card points and miles can lose value to inflation? Credit card companies often reduce the redemption value of your points and miles. Now imagine a credit card with rewards that can grow in value. With the Gemini credit card, you can earn Bitcoin or one of over 50 other cryptos instantly with no annual fee. Every swipe at the store or gas pump earns you instant rewards deposited straight to your account. Plus, sign up now for a $200 Bitcoin bonus to kickstart your rewards. Visit Gemini.com/card today. Check out the link in the description for more information on rates and fees. Again, if you're looking to invest in Bitcoin but don't know where to start, the Gemini credit card makes it easy.
Ah, DSW, birthplace of the humble brag. Here, the shoes are so good, no one would ever know how little you paid. If you didn't go telling everyone, that is. And with never-ending options for every style, mood, and occasion, all at really great prices, we'll definitely give you something to brag about. So go ahead, stock up on fresh sneakers from your favorite brands. Or try those boots you always secretly knew you could pull off. Find the shoes that get you at prices that get your budget at DSW stores or DSW.com.
This is VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. This is Money Moves on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Happy Wednesday, everybody. What's going on? Stormy, Buonantony, Jonathan Von Tobel with you, holding it down live in downtown Las Vegas at Circa Resort Casino, like we always do. Money Moves is the show, VSiN, the Sports Betting Network, Sirius XM channel 158. Got a lot to get to on the program today, and we might as well jump right in like we always do with what's on deck. Here is the rundown.
It's time for the top headlines and topics of the day. This is the Rundown.
All right, here's what we have on deck, JVT, starting with a couple great guests. Kendall Valenzuela joining us like she always does on a Wednesday of Fantasy Life, talk through some of the injuries, waiver wire candidates, players that might be worth targeting in the prop betting market. And we're going to have Dave Flemming on, who's calling the world feed of the World Series beginning on Friday. Excited for that?
Excited for both of our guests. Kendall every single week has been great. Can't wait to go over some of the ramifications. You know, maybe ask, as you always do, some questions focused on your own personal fantasy team to get a leg up on the competition. I may or may not have the best team in the VSiN Guillotine League, so we'll see if that's going to be something I can add to. But also looking forward to getting a breakdown from Dave on what this World Series is going to look like. I tend to lean toward a short series in favor of the Dodgers, but we'll see if he can talk me out of it.
And the market seems to agree with you a little bit because the Dodgers continue to get bet up on that series price right now. We'll also get a little college football in our lives today. It's a Wednesday, so that means Why Not Wednesday and West Coast bias. Looking at some of the West Coast teams that maybe don't get the attention and love they deserve.
Including a big one for you. As Fresno State and San Diego State, undefeated and 2-1 in the Mountain West, go at it. There's still a spot on the line for the runner-up and the spot in the Mountain West Championship game. It's a big game.
A little line move in favor of the Aztecs, too.
I'm very excited. I know you'll be busy. You'll be doing your job. But it'll be a very good game that I'm very much looking forward to.
I am as well, and I actually do lean Aztecs in that one, but we will get to it a little bit later. We can discuss why. We're got to start off with only, there's one place to start. We got to dive right in. The
Champions
NBA.
League. Oh.
The NBA is so back.
Yeah, it is.
And you tweeted this perfectly yesterday that in game one of the day, which we get started, it was the larger spread of the two games, obviously, ends up being back and forth down to the wire at the end. We get overtime, and they call it overtime, not undertime, for a reason, because this was a surefire under all the way through until it's not all of a sudden.
Well, and also, I know that this was the secondary screen for you because you were watching hockey. I don't know if you would notice, but in the first overtime at one point, the Thunder were up by 7. And so you thought, it's going to be peak NBA. A dead under game where the dog is covering the whole way. The Thunder are going to come out here in the first overtime, blow the doors off of them, and it's going to go over in favor when it was dog and under the whole way. Now, eventually, the Thunder do hold on to win, but they do not get it done from a cover standpoint. But there was a lot that happened in this game. A fun one. We get double OT. Absolutely great. Two teams that are pretty close to one another. I mean, this is just a really good and fun game. How about this one? I put this in the rundown. I don't know if you saw this. I put it in a little late. Some of the beats that you experienced in this game, not only the total. Kevin Durant's points, rebounds, and assists was at 32.5. He went over in the final 75 seconds of the double overtime.
No way.
like you can't script it. I'm sure there are more that you can find out there. If you could tweet us at Storm Buonantony, at me, JVT, if there were some other beats that took shape here in this game. But how about that? If you had an under, you're good the whole way. And the final 75 seconds of double overtime is how you lose it.
In what was, by the way, weird day for Kevin Durant.
Yes, it was.
For a lot of different reasons. But the missed free throw at the end of regulation, calls a timeout when he doesn't have a timeout at the end of overtime. It wasn't seen, which then created its whole other thing. And then fouling SGA with less than 2 seconds to go. Like, what are we doing?
Yeah, it was a weird day. As I said when I was texting with some friends, it was one of those where it looked like Kevin Durant. I was like, man, I'm just trying to go home. There's so many different things. Head up play too, or I guess if you will, moment. Alperen Şengün, the second Durant starts calling the timeout, you see Şengün like run over. He's like, dude, we don't have a single timeout. Shut up. Yeah, that's pretty big of the officials to not get that, to not award it for him. And for the reasoning be like, oh, well, we didn't award it to him, so it doesn't count. Like, no, like that's the rule is if you're calling a timeout and you don't have one, it should be technical, it should be free throws. Yeah. So I thought Mark Dagnall, the head coach of the Thunder, was right. And look, you might kind of look at this and go, okay, well, what's the big deal? Folks, I understand it's October 22nd now, and yesterday was October 21st, if my math is correct. These are two teams that are going to be competing for a top seed in the Western Conference. This game matters. Yep. Whether or not you think one of 82 doesn't matter in October, it does when it comes to the standings at the end of the year. So had they gone on the Thunder to lose this game, that's a big moment that at the end of the season, if they're in some sort of tiebreaker for like a 1 seed, we could go back to day one and realize, hey, you probably should have allowed that technical to get called in that moment. But good game. It was fun. Cool to see some of the different things. Amen Thompson, for example, looked really good. Small calf injury. They said it was cramping, so we'll see. But you never like to hear calf.
Yeah, right at the end, too.
That leads to a lot of different things. Goes over the assist prop, as you like to remind me last night. I didn't say anything. It was just a thought experiment. Can I ask you a question, though? So this is a betting philosophy question, if you will. So he goes over. He has 5 assists. The number's 4.5. For those who weren't with us yesterday, I was kind of positing, like, are we kind of baking a little bit too much into this? Like this whole, he's going to have the ball in his hands. He's going to be the point guard. We're talking like 4.5 minus 165. He's in an assist matchup with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. He's only plus 1.5. He gets 5 assists. Was I right still? Was I right in that it shouldn't have been priced at minus 165, like minus 170, which is what some spots reached?
Sometimes even when your rationale is correct, the bet still doesn't go your way, right? Yeah. And I think that's more of what that was. It's also a 1-game sample. But I think the thought process coming in where look at what SGA did and what his averages were, and then look at Amen Thompson's numbers and what he was able to do, it's not the same. So yes, they both ended up having 5 assists last night, but I think that your argument was still valid. We'll just have to see how that role grows throughout the season, right?
Yeah, to the whole point of what we're talking about. Like, you play that matchup 100 times. Right. Is he really tying with him in that instance that many times, or is he hitting 5 assists at, I don't know probably off the top of my head, but whatever minus 170 equates to? That to me is, I think, one of those where, like you said, one instance, win over by 1, we'll see. But as we move forward with Thompson, it'll be interesting to watch. And we'll see. I mean, I know Zach came on with us. One of the few losses he had on the night was the over a half 3-point make for Amen Thompson. Dude goes 0 for 7 from beyond the arc. Actually would have gone 0 for 8, but his toe was on the line for one of them. So that's something he's got to work on, but really fun performance from Thompson. Yeah,
he was firing.
Yeah.
Still. Congrats on the Case and Wallace prop, though. That one did come through. Alperen Şengün, who you mentioned as well, 39 points, 11 boards, 7 assists for him. And I know we have another game that we needed to get to as well, but before we do, what did you think of the jumbo starters thing for the Rockets? And we see Kevin Durant starting at guard for the first time in forever. How did you like the look?
I mean, I thought it looked good. I think one of the things that you have to kind of look forward to here, one of the things we discussed was not only just the bigs, but the fact that you don't really have a guard that you can rely on to keep it going. Offensive rating in the half court was like 85.7. I think I put it in the rundown, but it wasn't good. That's not a good offensive rating in terms of your half court and your points per possession. It's a really low mark. And so if that's going to be what we're going to see here moving forward, I think if you're Houston, you've really got to hope that Reed Shepherd pans out a little bit better than what he showed you last night, because your half-court offensive rating, if I remember correctly, it was either the second lowest or the lowest half-court offensive rating amongst postseason teams last year. It's just got to be better if you're going to be a team that is going to achieve the things that many think that they're going to.
Okay, the Lakers and the LeBron-less group end up losing 119-109 to Golden State, so the Warriors win and cover in that spot, and we saw the Lakers still can't play defense.
Yeah, how about this, though, too? Do a little bit of math. 119-109, is that 228? Total closes 227.5. So I think we might know what we're doing here.
To the year.
Yeah, with these totals. How about that? How about the performance from Luka, though, and never really in the game? Mm-hmm. At one point in the second half, I think they go in a little bit of a spurt, and they cut it to 5, if I remember correctly. But Luka Doncic, with nearly a 40-point triple-double, they're outscored by 8 points in his minutes on the floor, and they have a negative 10.7 net rating in those minutes as well. It's just, I think this is going to be a problem. And look at the minutes played. Stormy, he had to play 41 minutes yesterday in the opening game. This is what you're in. I think it was Gabe. Was it Gabe Vincent? One of the players got into foul trouble, and on the broadcast, it's Noah Eagles like, because of this, you got to keep Luka in there. I'm like, it's game 1, and he's out there playing the entire third quarter and most of the second half. I think they've got some problems, the Lakers, as you look at this, especially before LeBron comes back. LeBron's going to help spell them, especially in those times when there's foul trouble with other ball handlers. But if you're asking Luka to play 41 minutes, he has a near 40-point triple-double, and you're still losing by 10. Yeah. And not really, outside of halftime, truly threatening to win the game.
I mean, well, you look at Jimmy Butler blow by, right?
Yeah.
And the defensive element of this is going to be super important for the Lakers, and we're going to see that all season long, LeBron on the court or not. Like that's been an issue for this team, and it's going to continue to be. But Doncic, looking through some of the numbers with him, so 43 points, 12 boards, 9 assists, 5th player, by the way, with a 40, 10, and 5 in a season opener in NBA history. So that performance in itself is like top 5 ever, the best ever since Kobe in 2007 from a franchise perspective. And they lose by nearly, like, what? You lose by double digits in this spot?
Yeah, I think this is going to be really interesting as we look at this Lakers team.
Props, we got to just already know that we're going to be targeting Luka.
I mean, unless the market's really going to, he's got so much on his plate right now. And hey, good for him too. He looked a little bit skinnier. That's a good thing. I think he's going to lose a lot of weight because if he's averaging 40 minutes a game, good luck.
12 games on deck today. Any you're particularly excited about?
I mean, all of them.
Yeah,
very much looking forward to.
It's day 2, so you're already just gassed up for everything.
I'm ready.
Have you made too many bets? I guess that's the better question.
Probably. When you really know nothing, probably. You saw the list that I sent in, so I'm ready to get hurt. I'm down for it. I will say there's a couple of things we should probably note. Like right here, it does seem I would say the news-ish of the day is that it seems that Jaylen Brown's going to play. He's questionable for the Boston Celtics, but the market very much believes that he is going to be out there. We're starting to see that number against Philly get to like 4. Brown practiced in full on Monday, so I didn't think that there was a question of whether or not he was going to play, but clearly market, and I would assume they participate in shoot-around, which is why we're up to 4 right now, 4.5. But the Celtics are laying that against the 76ers, who will have Joel Embiid. Did not receive an injury designation today, so very much looking forward to that coming up at 4:40 p.m. Pacific time.
That's good, and not just from an injury standpoint, but we were talking about before we got on air already, you're seeing these lines and how quickly they're moving from the openers, and it'll be a fun slate tonight, so yes, we will preview at length the entire NBA card a little bit later on the show. We're going to take our first time out of the day, but we're just getting started here on Money Moves. When we come back, we're going to dive into a little bit of the NFL, some news and notes that have come out of some press conferences yesterday, and we do have a starting quarterback for the Minnesota Vikings on Thursday night. We'll hit you with that and more next.
Did you know your credit card points and miles can lose value to inflation? Credit card companies often reduce the redemption value of your points and miles. Now imagine a credit card with rewards that can grow in value. With the Gemini credit card, you can earn Bitcoin or one of over 50 other cryptos instantly with no annual fee. Every swipe at the store or gas pump earns you instant rewards deposited straight to your account. Plus, sign up now for a $200 Bitcoin bonus to kickstart your rewards. Visit Gemini.com/card today. Check out the link in the description for more information on rates and fees. Again, if you're looking to invest in Bitcoin but don't know where to start, the Gemini credit card makes it easy.
Come to DSW for the shoes, stay for the fun. Because let's be honest, if shoe shopping isn't fun, are you even doing it right? So go ahead, try something new. Try something different. Good different. Try something that feels like you. You know, the real you. And then definitely brag about it later. Because at DSW, you've got unlimited freedom to play. With sneakers, boots, and everything in between for every style, mood, and occasion, you'll definitely find shoes that get you at prices that get your budget. DSW. Let us surprise you.
You're watching Money Moves here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
JJ McCarthy still not ready, it appears, in Minnesota, dealing with the high ankle for a few weeks. We welcome you back here to Money Moves, VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. Stormy, Buonantony, Jonathan Von Tobel with you. So, come Thursday night in Los Angeles against the Chargers, we will get the Carson Wentz experience yet again, as he is back practicing despite dealing with the shoulder injury himself. So, regardless of which way they went at quarterback, it was questionable due to an injury, but Carson Wentz will be the guy.
Yeah, I mean, so there's a theory that J.J. McCarthy has been soft benched, and this is really it. Like, maybe he's actually ready to go. It's just they don't really want to put him out there because of how bad it is. I would disagree in that. I don't know if Carson Wentz has been that much better than what we saw from J.J. McCarthy. I don't think it's surprising, especially on a short week. Like, hey, if we're going to bring him back, let's give him, like, all the time possible. Now you get, like, the kind of faux bye week. So let's do that instead. So I would venture a guess that it's a short favorite to make J.J. McCarthy the starter next week, wouldn't you say? Like, outside of Carson Wentz coming out and throwing 4 touchdowns and 500 yards. And even then, I don't know if you're really doing it. It might just be a flash in the pan.
I think so. And even the comments from O'Connell make it seem like they are hoping to get JJ back, right? Like the last thing that he said yesterday, JJ, the medical staff, myself, we're all encouraged about where he's at and the progress he's making, but he's just not there. If this were a Sunday game, I think it would be a different story. We would push it throughout the week and see where he was. Yeah. So I think that in an ideal world, like Kevin O'Connell wants JJ McCarthy to work, right? Yeah. Like you go up and take him in the draft where you do. You move on from Sam Darnold, and which I still think this is a crazy thing, is that Sam Darnold and Sam Darnold's backup and Daniel Jones are performing at the levels that they are in their various different teams now this season. But you move on from the quarterback room you had to go grab this kid who you believe in, and you want to see if it can work and carry your group forward. He is the quarterback whisperer. Get him healthy and see what it is. Yeah. That said, though, JVT, for Thursday night, we are seeing a little bit of movement here on the Chargers where we're seeing more and more of those threes turn into 3.5s.
I wonder, I would assume, I mean, I don't think it's maybe worth all that much, but I would assume that part of the support that we're seeing in the market is the thought that Joe Alt told media yesterday that he plans on playing in this game for the Los Angeles Chargers. I mean, this offensive line's been a mess. We've seen it like time and time again. Herbert's been under pressure on 39% of his dropbacks so far this year. That's an insane amount of your dropbacks to be pressured on. And you saw it against the Indianapolis Colts as well. We had brought up this metric in the days leading up to it. But the Colts, when they are able to generate pressure, they're one of the top teams in terms of expected points added per play allowed when on the downs that they generate pressure. They're incredible. They can force turnovers to all sorts of things. In that game, Herbert had 61 dropbacks, 27 of them he was under pressure. So if you can get Alt back, I don't think it fixes all of the issues. I mean, you're talking about a front that's going to send a bunch of different looks, a bunch of different blitzes, but he's been pretty good, Herbert has, against the blitz. It's more just about the down-to-down pressure and essentially being C.J. Stroud for the last few weeks. Stroud, when you watch him, he takes a snap and he's sprinting out of the pocket because there's a guy already breaking through. So if you can just get slightly better protection for Herbert, I can understand why the market is like juicing some of these threes to the favorite side.
Forgive me for a sec. I was just looking something up because we saw the report earlier today, just to shift gears to another game. Rich Cimini reported the Jets will apparently, looks like they're making a move toward Tyrod Taylor, which I think makes sense, at least based on what we've seen from Justin Fields' last couple of games and then what we heard from their owner, Woody Johnson, yesterday at the owners' meetings. But I guess Aaron Glenn said this morning, we'll have a quarterback on Sunday, I'll tell you that, but he doesn't want to give the Bengals a competitive advantage by announcing it one way or another at this point. Big heads. But I guess Taylor has a little bit of a knee injury that he's working through too. Yeah. So there's just a lot. So he's listed as day-to-day with a knee issue now. I would assume that you're hoping that it's obviously Tyrod Taylor. And I think that's probably the only thing that's holding you back. I will say, though, man, and you know how I work, do you think we're going to get 7 with Cincinnati? Would you be tempted for the Jets at 7? Oh, I would. That's a lot, man. For where this Bengals team was power rated just a week ago. Catching, I guess a little bit more than that. Catching 5.5 at home against the Pittsburgh Steelers. A game that they won outright. Granted, we could argue that the number was wrong. But this swing to now maybe laying 7 at home against the Jets. You could talk about maybe upgrading the Bengals. I think this is mostly about downgrading the New York Jets. We do our market power ratings. I would venture a guess that the Jets are on the same line as the Tennessee Titans now as being the worst team in the NFL. But this is crazy to look at this difference between these two. There's a 5-point difference between these two in a neutral? Yeah, it's just what I was looking at, because regardless of what you think of Joe Flacco, right? And that, okay, he's stepped in and he's got Jamar Chase and T. Higgins and the offense is going to have an offensive explosion, whatever. their defense is still god awful. And so if you do have Tyrod Taylor and you think that elevates the Jets offense at least a little bit, their team total is 18.5. Would that maybe be an angle that you would go?
I think,
or you can't get there.
No, I mean, I think it makes some sense. You go back to one of the things we talked about for this Bengals team. I think they were going into the Steelers game 26th in explosive play rate allowed through the air. So that's passing plays of 15 or more yards. They gave up a few of those, quite a bit, actually. Aaron Rodgers had gone over his longest completion in that game twice against Cincinnati. So I don't think it's insane at all to think that the Bengals defense is exactly what we thought they were. I mean, they were giving up explosive left and right and looking pretty poor and gave up 31 points. It's just that Joe Flacco and that offense were great. So would it be the craziest thing in the world to expect that you can generate some of those big plays and score against this team? I don't think that would be.
I mean, even the Denver Broncos, who we don't think, granted, I know we all saw the fourth quarter the other day and all the points they scored, but I don't think we're a believer in Bo Nix and what that offense is. Even they scored 28 on the Bengals defense. Like, just going through their game log, yes, the 31 that Pittsburgh put up, 27 Green Bay, Detroit 37, the Broncos 28. When they played the Vikings earlier this season, I know a lot of that was defensive touchdowns, so I don't want to count too much weight into that one, but 48, 27, it's every game this season. It's crazy. So, I mean, I don't know if the Jets are as bad offensively as we saw last week. And clearly they have a different trajectory when Justin Fields is not QB1.
I mean, just to me, it comes back to that.
You need to be able to complete a forward pass.
Yeah, that is, in today's day and age, I would say that's a very strong thing to be able to add to your repertoire as an offense. But just this number, it's about this number, dude. Like, if it gets to 7, it's going to be hard to turn down. By the way, Bo Nix, for anybody who's getting riled up by Stormy's comments, 22nd ranked quarterback in terms of EPA and the completion percentage over expected.
Which is a stark improvement from where he had been.
Yes.
Like, I'm just, right?
Nope, I'm not. Dude, you're preaching to the choir. You know me.
Well, I agree with you.
Yes, that's right.
Wholeheartedly.
Not big on the Bover throws, as they have been called.
Another quarterback update, or non-update, I guess. Dan Graziano said he doesn't believe it's a sure thing Lamar Jackson returns from the hamstring this week. We talked about it yesterday that John Harbaugh was, I don't know why all these head coaches are doing the will he, won't he thing as much as they are when they have to submit injury reports at the end of the day. Like, we're going to get it. We're going to know, you know, but
we're going to get a designation at least. Yes,
exactly. So I thought that was interesting, though, that the line has stayed right there at the 6.5, and the line gives you the impression that Lamar Jackson is playing, being a near touchdown favorite against the Bears at home. Yet the insiders are saying I'm not so sure.
I mean, I would move the line based on the fact that there's no more ping pong tables in the locker room.
No ping pong tables, no cornhole boards, video game consoles. Get them out of here.
I mean, really, like all of that. I don't understand. I can't remember where. I think there was like a former NFL player that had stated on Twitter, like, it's serious when you get rid of the ping pong tables, because that's like a big deal in locker rooms. Either way.
If I was a player, I'd be pissed. I'd be like, this is for my hand-eye.
That's right. Quick twitch muscles, too. I'm with you. I mean, the market thinks he's going to play. And I think that was everything we were expecting. So maybe it's some gamesmanship, the holding him out and waiting to see what the official word is going to be. But I would operate with the assumption that he's going to play. I mean, if you're catching 6.5 with the Bears team, the only team that has scored over 20 points in all of its games so far this year, or whatever that stat was, being able to do that and get 6.5 against Cooper Rush, I would assume that's not going to be the number if it's Rush.
The Chicago Bears are finally going to have a 4,000-yard passer. Right? Isn't that the thing?
Well, I mean, he was on, the last time I looked, he was only on pace to get like 4,003 or something like that. So he still might not get it because they might be resting their starters in the final week of the season.
Yeah.
Well, you say that. I mean, they might. They're 4-2. Are they 4-2, right?
Who do you like in the division?
Oh, in the NFC North? I mean, good luck. It's
Is that right?
It's the Green Bay Packers. It has to be, whether 4-1-1.
How absurd is it that they're the 1 seed right now? And I get week 1 when we saw the Green Bay Packers, we're like, oh, they're elite, Super Bowl bound, all the things. But like that, they're not the most believable.
So I mentioned this on Pod to the Futures, and I thought Mina Kimes over at ESPN had a good comp for Green Bay. She invoked She's All That, with Rachel Lee Cook, and in the movie, clearly she's a very attractive girl.
Right.
But like they make her out to be like some hideous, and all she has to do is take off her glasses, right? And she's an attractive girl in the movie. She likened the Green Bay Packers to that. Like you might be the best football team in the NFL. Just take off your glasses, aka stop shooting yourself in the foot and playing like crap, and you're going to be the team we all expect you to be.
Have you seen Not Another Teen movie?
That's incredible. You bring that up because that was immediately what Mitch and I went to. That is
really?
That is the best That's obviously the best like spoof movie ever created.
Yeah.
And yes, I absolutely love it.
I just love how they play on that fact, right?
It's
and it's like,
great.
oh yeah, the super hot girl, and that's all she does. It's like, Janie, but she's got glasses. Ugh.
The scene where I don't know who the blonde guy is. He's like in every NCIS. But he leans over and like whispers something to her, and he tells her, and he's like, "I was just pretending to tell her a secret so that you would then." Like,
God,
it's such a good movie.
So good. By the way, this time of year is so fun when it comes to sports and sports betting because we do have all 4 of the major sports in action at the same time, and we are celebrating it here at VSiN with our Sports Equinox special. You can sign up right now. Get VSiN Pro access to everything we do through May 1st for $120, less than $20 a month. You get everything we have to offer, unlimited access to the website, all of the pro tools. VSiN.com/subscribe. Come hang out. VSIN.com/subscribe.
You're watching Money Moves here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Week 8 of the NFL season is upon us as we welcome you back to Money Moves on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. Stormy Buonantony, Jonathan Von Tobel with you. And to help us talk through the chaos of all of the injuries and players stepping up or not in certain situations. Why are you looking at me funny?
Well, because I think you're about to welcome in our guest, Kendall Valenzuela, on the Progressive Guest Line. So I'm going to step on your feet. I'm going to bring her in here because I think first and foremost, we should be friends in this dire time.
Listen, I was going to go there, but you have to set them up properly with the title, senior analyst at Fantasy Life. We're going to talk through week 8 waiver wire. And then you say, but Kendall, got to check in on you emotionally after what happened with the Seattle Mariners. How are you? What can we do for you?
Horrible. Nothing. Get us to a
we don't have her audio.
We don't even hear her. Look, she's in a glass case of emotion. We can't hear it.
That's
check
how bad
1,
it's
2. We
been.
see
Can
her
you hear me
beautiful
now?
face. So she's smiling. She's alive.
Can you hear me now?
All right,
No.
our
How
tech
about
team will
now?
have to work
All right,
on this.
Oh, no.
We'll check back in with Kayla. Dang it.
Her name's Kendall, by the way.
Oh, sorry. What did I say?
You said Kayla. That's okay. It's all right. It happens. All right, we'll have to get her thoughts on that. But either way, the Seahawks are doing well, so that's all that matters.
That is a plus. But as we learned when we had a Seattle Seahawks and Mariners beat reporter on the program earlier this week, he said that nobody cared about the Seahawks this week. Everyone cared about the Mariners. I felt, how bad did you feel for the fans out there when they had the iPad?
Oh, it was great. So I was sitting with somebody whose mother was at the game, the Seahawks game, and was swearing up and down, I'm going to DVR the Mariners game and not find out the result. I'm going to go home and watch it. And the guy was like, Mom, like you're watching the game. You're watching a Seahawks game in Seattle. There's no way you're not going to find out what the result is.
It's impossible. Okay, Kendall, I believe that we do have you back. Hello? Are you there?
You hear me now?
There
Yes.
we go. Yes.
There we go. Guys, that's how bad it is. As for Mariners fans, they're like, please don't ask. Don't call, don't text. It was awful. I told people I would rather get blown out in a game 7 than lose the way that they did. But that just might be me. I'm unsure on you guys. But other than that, everything's great in my life besides the Mariners.
Okay. All right. That's all right. So if you need anything, we're here for you. So we'll just move on because that's what I would like to do.
Thank you so much.
All right. Let's go to some waivers. Let's go to some pickups. If I desperately need a quarterback, am I really going down this path with Joe Flacco? I think that he has been a dude that's all right. It's 2 games. I've got more, Kendall. I've got more sample size that says he stinks than he's good. But what are we doing here?
I know. I think you're going to him, though, to be totally honest. It's better than going to Tyrod Taylor, who I guess Justin Fields is hated already by the organization. So they're trying to tell us that he's not. But I actually would go to Joe Flacco. And I don't think we're going to get the icy hot bowl every single week between him and Aaron Rodgers. But I do think that I know we have a sample size with Joe Flacco that could tell us this year that he's been not good, especially when we look back at what he's done in the first few weeks of the season. But he didn't have Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, to be totally fair. So I think when you have weapons like that, and when you have someone like Jamar Chase, he can literally just say, you know what, screw it. I think Jamar Chase is down there somewhere, and I'm going to target him almost every other time that I'm looking to go downfield. You're probably going to get good results because Jamar Chase is still and just that guy. Mm-hmm. So I think you are going to Joe Flacco. He's only 11% rostered here. Again, you're not going to expect 342 yards in a game every single week. But I do think that this Bengals team is desperate for wins, and they know they need to continue winning to potentially get to those playoffs and get Joe Burrow back. So yeah, I would actually go to Joe Flacco in the year 2025.
You mentioned that would be the better option in your opinion than Tyrod Taylor, but I mean, Tyrod Taylor is questionable now with a knee injury after all of the expectation was that he was going to replace Justin Fields. So I get it from that standpoint. But there's so many of these other quarterbacks in question, even Lamar Jackson in question again this week with the hamstring, although he's practicing today. What's going on with Jaden Daniels? Add Bryce Young to the list as well. It's tough sledding out here at the quarterback position.
Yeah, it's tough. It's a tough week. Thank goodness Lamar Jackson was back at practice today, so at least we can lean on that. You probably assume that he's going to be good to go because they just need wins. I mean, this is another team that you're looking around and saying they got rid of the ping pong tables and the game consoles, whatever it is, out of the locker room because they just need to win. So that's a team that's on their way. But yeah, I think that the one thing with the Carolina Panthers, because I know you guys like the Panthers, is that I don't think Andy Dalton is one that's going to necessarily be a downgrade for this team, especially if you're looking at Tetero and McMillan. I don't necessarily love going to him this week, but if you're in a really tough spot, I do recommend getting him or Marcus Mariota. We know that Marcus Mariota is going to get the start this week as well. So basically, avoid the Jets at all. I don't know what's going on with the Jets. I know that Justin Fields has just not looked good. For us in fantasy, it's a way different conversation than real life NFL. But if you have Justin Fields, I would just hold until we see if Tyrod Taylor is good to go this week. He does have a knee injury. He's considered day to day, but they've told us they're not going to name a starting quarterback because they think it's a competitive advantage for the other team in week 8. So whatever that means, it's just weird.
Anything on Thursday night that we can look at in terms of waiver wires for either the Vikings or the Chargers, especially with Alt maybe coming back? I would assume passing games looks a little bit better for the Chargers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I really like Oronde Gadsden. He was one that I mentioned a couple weeks ago, and hopefully you were able to snag him before it was a little bit too late. But he's playing a near full-time role, and that's something that we want to see when we look at the utilization for some of these guys on waiver wires, because sometimes we go into it and we say, well, he could have a little bit of a flash, but Oronde Gadsden is getting an 18% target share, 77% route participation. And again, it's not one where we can consider him to have 29 fantasy points every single week in and week out. But it is one where you can look and say, all right, well, his route participation is so good that he is going to continue being involved in this team. So it's a really good week to go and get him off the waiver wire, especially if you need a tight end rest of season as well. He's going to be really hard to rank outside the top 10, top 11 rest of the way. So you get key guys back and you get Gadsden playing well. I think he's a low end tight end one with upside for sure.
Let's go to the running back position. Where do you think people should be looking this week on the waiver wire?
Oh my gosh. I think it's Kyle Monangai. And some of these guys that I'm going to mention here aren't ones that you can pick up and immediately start. And then that's one with Kyle Monangai, running back for the Bears. But again, we look at the utilization and he had a career best 17.4 fantasy points on Sunday that was going up against the Saints. Ran the ball 13 times, 81 yards. You absolutely love to see that. This is DeAndre Swift's backfield, but we know that Ben Johnson before with the Lions has been one, to have kind of a 1A, 1B situation. It is not the same as having Jahmyr Gibbs, David Montgomery. Let me just say that. But it is one where Kyle Monangai could find himself in a bigger role as the season progresses. And then a really deep stash would be Devin Neal for the Saints because Kendre Miller is now out with an ACL injury for the rest of the season. He is now the RB2 behind Alvin Kamara. So if Kamara ended up going down with an injury, we never want that to happen. He would step up into a role, or if they just decided to shut him down because he's a veteran, a little bit obviously of an older running back there, and they want to see what they have in some of their younger guys. Devin Neal is definitely the guy that you can go and get as well. But again, both of them not really startable going into this week.
It's another week, and it's another wide receiver injury. It's another Mike Evans injury. So how does the fallout shake up for the Buccaneers?
I don't know. We need to do something with these wide receiver injuries. And there's 6 teams on a bye this week. So I'm sorry, JSN managers, managers for all these wide receivers. This is going to be a really tough week. But I would actually go with Tez Johnson. I think Tez Johnson is the guy that you want just because of all the underlying stuff that we've seen with him. I know if you look at Shepard, he finished with 7 receptions, 25 yards, but Tez Johnson was out there more. 4 receptions, 58 yards for him. So I would go with Tez Johnson. We have to keep an eye on when they expect Jalen McMillan to come back. It doesn't look like Chris Godwin's going to be back this week. I would also say Cade Otton is another guy that I think he's going to continue getting used out here because we had the sample size last season in the 3 or 4 games that they were without their top receivers. So Cade Otton's a good one, but I really do think Tez Johnson is someone, especially this week when they're really only going to have Emeka Egbuka and him and Sterling Shepard. Mix in Cade Otton at tight end. I would go get Tez.
What is your approach to like Terry McLaurin and Deebo Samuel, like guys who are coming back?
Yeah, it's tough because they're the Monday night game. So to me, and we don't have a doubleheader this Monday night. And so to me, with guys like that coming back, especially Terry McLaurin, more specifically him, it's not a great matchup for him either. So I would be on the cautious side and just say, if you've gone this long without Terry McLaurin, more specifically, you probably have a backup that you can potentially play. Now, if you don't, you're just going to have to wait it out and hope that he's going to play on Monday. But I would go in a different direction because, again, he's already got things stacked against him where we have not seen him this season. And then it's not, the most ideal situation. Deebo Samuel, I'm a little bit higher on just because, we've seen him play banged up and he's still gotten the target share that he's wanted. But you downgrade all of these guys because it is going to be Marcus Mariota still. And again, the Monday night makes it really tough to be able to have the luxury of waiting until game time for them to tell us. So practice reports will be everything this week, especially the one on Friday and Saturday since they do play later. But I would avoid it if I can.
Any good streaming options that stick out for the weekend?
Oh my gosh, it's a tough week. Let me just say that because I'm looking for streamers as well. I would say, if you really, really want to, I have been looking at Brashard Smith. Again, this is someone where you're probably just going to pick him up and see what he looks like, but he had a really good week last week. Colston Loveland. Now, if you guys like, International Tight Ends Day, it is International Tight Ends Day this weekend. So I'm looking at Colston Loveland too and saying maybe since Cole Kmet has that back injury, that he could be put in some starting lineups and maybe get a little bit more work out there. But really, I'm looking at Kyle Monangai if you really need a desperate streamer. And then I think Joe Flacco is the guy. If you're at the quarterback position and need some help over there, that's where I would go.
You're awesome, Kendall. Thank you. We'll see you next week and keep fighting the good fight, girl.
Guys.
Kendall Valenzuela, again, doing great work over there at Fantasy Life, Sirius XM, Channel 87 as well. You can follow her on X at KValenzuela17. We're going to shift gears from the National Football League to the World Series next with ESPN's Dave Flemming.
DSW, birthplace of the humble brag. Here, the shoes are so good, no one would ever know how little you paid. If you didn't go telling everyone, that is. And with never-ending options for every style, mood, and occasion, all at really great prices. We'll definitely give you something to brag about. So go ahead, stock up on fresh sneakers from your favorite brands. Or try those boots you always secretly knew you could pull off. Find the shoes that get you at prices that get your budget at DSW stores or DSW.com.
Confronting high credit card debt can feel scary. But the good news is, if you owe $10,000 or more in credit card debt, financial relief options are now available. National Debt Relief is currently offering debt relief designed to reduce what you owe, fast-tracking your way to being debt-free. If you qualify for debt relief, you may be able to pay back significantly less than what you owe and save thousands of dollars. Imagine only paying one low monthly program payment you can afford and saving money as you become debt-free. National Debt Relief has already helped bring debt relief to over 550,000 U.S. consumers, earning thousands of five-star reviews and an A-plus rating with the Better Business Bureau. You're stronger than your credit card debt. Take the first step and visit nationaldebtrelief.com to see what debt relief you qualify for. That's nationaldebtrelief.com.
You're watching Money Moves here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
While the Dodgers are looking to go back-to-back in the World Series, we've got some new blood in the Fall Classic this year as well. The Toronto Blue Jays back for the first time in the World Series since 1993. Stormy Buonantony and Jonathan Von Tobel with you. Excited to dive into some World Series talk with Dave Flemming, who will be logging some serious cross-country miles over the next week or so, joining us on the Progressive Guest Line. Usually I have the pleasure of hearing him in my IFB on Saturday nights, but he's going to be a little bit busy this week on the MLB International feed, the World Series for the World feed for the World Series. Dave, pretty nice ring to it.
I've been working on my Italian and French and Hungarian and all that. No, we just do it in English, but it just goes around the world. Good to talk to you, Stormy.
So, Dave, I'm going to be curious. I'll start here because betting market and just lick your finger, test the wind, and talk to people. The assumption is the Dodgers are going to win this series. How do the Toronto Blue Jays win the World Series?
Yeah, it's a good question, fair question. I mean, I think, the recency bias of how great the Dodgers have looked in the playoffs and especially how great they looked in sweeping the team that had the best record in baseball. it's easy to see why people believe that the Dodgers are a big favorite, and a lot of folks are having a hard time coming up with a scenario for how they lose. I mean, I would just remind everybody, and I think your listeners are smart enough to know this, baseball is just so different than the other sports. And even the most dominant teams lose all the time. I mean, even the very best teams in the history of the game lose 50 times a season. You know, it's like you lose games, and in a short burst, you can always, have a bad week. So it doesn't take you don't have to, I guess that's kind of a long way of saying you don't have to stretch hard to find the ways that the Blue Jays win this game. I think a couple of things. Number one, they have to use their home field to a great advantage. They have been an awesome home team this year. I went for a regular season series up to Toronto in the summertime, and I thought it was the best team that I saw all year. The Blue Jays at home, they were just fantastic. And so I think the fact that they have home field advantage, it feels to me like they're going to have to win 3 out of those 4 games, at least win 2 of them, but probably win 3 out of the 4 games that'll be there in Toronto. So I think that's one, and I think they're very capable of that. You know, they have to be able somehow to do something against those Dodgers starters. If the Dodgers starters can just go 7-8 innings every game, then the Blue Jays are going to lose this World Series. They have to be able to get Snell, to get Yamamoto, to get Ohtani out of the games in the middle innings. And if they do that, I think they're going to score a bunch of runs in the late innings of these games. The Dodgers bullpen's just not very good. And so I think the formula for the Blue Jays is use their offensive prowess, make those starters work for it, use the home crowd to their advantage. They play good defense. You know, I think always part of the formula against the Dodgers is because they do so many little things well. You got to match that. You can't give them extra outs, and the Blue Jays are very well equipped to do it that way. So I'm excited about their chances. I mean, all we root for in TV is for a good competitive series, a deep series, and I think we're going to get it. I think the Blue Jays absolutely can take this to 6 or 7 games, bring it back to Toronto, and then, see what happens in front of your home crowd.
Yeah, and Dave, to your point about the Dodgers starting pitching, if there was a team in this postseason that could get to them, it's probably the team that's been the best batting team in the playoffs to this point in the Toronto Blue Jays. But what does Toronto do from a pitching standpoint? We know at least for game 1, Blake Snell is going to start for the Dodgers. Do you have any expectation for how Toronto might approach their rotation?
Yeah, I mean, you have at least 3 that I think they probably trust and like quite a bit. So I haven't heard. I mean, my guess was that they asked Gausman to come back and pitch game 1 just because he's kind of their guy and he's got, big game and playoff experience. I guess that's not totally locked in. Shane Bieber has done a nice job. Hasn't been absolutely perfect, but has done a nice job when the Blue Jays have leaned on him this playoff. So I think, he's a guy that I'm sure they think, hey, we can trust him to go out there and be real solid. It's obviously they are at a disadvantage if you just line up the starting pitching head to head. But I think the Blue Jays do believe that at least they can be, so come close to a stalemate. They're not going to dominate with their starters. But so my guess is that Gausman, I don't know. I haven't been looking today whether there's been any specific news on that, but that'd be my guess.
Do you think that the Blue Jays, in terms of their offense, maybe change a little bit of the way that they approach things? We were talking about this yesterday. They don't strike out a ton, which is good. They also don't walk a lot, so they don't take a lot of pitches. They like to put it into play. But to get to some of these pitchers, like you're pointing out, do you think maybe we see them change their approach at the plate in this series?
It's an excellent question because I do think it's always, it's like an eternal question in baseball when you're facing high-end pitching. Do you go on the attack? Do you try to just be really aggressive? We don't want 2 strike counts. We don't want strikeout situations, which I totally understand. But then you do run the risk. You run the risk of allowing those pitchers to really go deep into games. That is like an ultimate baseball conundrum. I guess when we get there Friday and I talk to John Schneider about it, I'm guessing he's going to be pretty emphatic about, nope, we do what we do. We like to swing the bat. That's what is our successful formula. And I expect that's how they're going to approach it. They're really good at it. It's hard to be. It was the ultimate secret weapon. And I think it's a great playoff formula too. There's a reason why the Houston Astros won all those games, all those playoff series, and ended up winning 2 World Series. I think the number one reason that the Astros were so good in the playoffs is it's so hard to do, but they had the combo of power, damage, but also no swing and miss. And that is a great combo. And that's what the Blue Jays have. They can take you deep. They have some power, maybe not as much as some of those vintage Astros teams, but they have power and they don't strike out. That's a great playoff formula. And I think part of that is just being aggressive, and I expect they'll continue to be.
Dave Flemming, ESPN play-by-play man, going to be on the world feed of the World Series, getting underway with Game 1 on Friday. And from a World Series MVP perspective, I've been asking everybody this week because we see historically World Series MVP isn't usually, or isn't always at least, the big name for each respective team. Is there anybody that might be a little under the radar you think could have a sneaky great performance coming up in the next week?
Yeah, I could see, a couple names. Like I could see this kid, Trey Yesavage for Toronto as a pitcher, having 2 really good starts. A lot of times all it takes to be the MVP of the World Series is a starting pitcher who pitches really well twice. That sometimes can get it done. I could see him, he's got the kind of stuff, and the Dodgers haven't seen him before. That's always an advantage for a pitcher. I could see him pitching well twice and maybe being a real sort of deep MVP sleeper. I could see Dalton Varsho. He's been swinging the bat really well, wasn't healthy a lot this year. Very talented guy, also can get it done on defense. I could see Varsho hitting, a couple big home runs and running the bases well and making some big catches and having an argument. I mean, it's obvious. The stars are obvious picks, but if you're thinking on the Blue Jays side, those would be 2 that I could think of. And then, the guy who just seems to do it in the playoffs, Max Muncy. It's sort of hard to explain. Like he's up and down in the regular season. He's had a great career, but at times over the last couple of years, it's felt like he's kind of winding down in his career. And yet this playoffs, he's been excellent again. So I could see Max Muncy rising to the occasion.
Which of these guys from a managerial standpoint has the edge and why?
Well, I mean, look, Dodgers fans, it's unbelievable how many wins the Dodgers have piled up and how they still are cranky with Dave Roberts. I don't know. I don't know how you quibble with his track record. That sort of is baffling to me. But I think it has to be an advantage that he's been here so many times. So I look, if Dave doesn't have a lot to do with this particular Dodgers team, he makes a few defensive changes late in games. And, I guess, the bullpen decisions are always important in these big games. But for him these days, it's like, how long can I keep my starter in there? It seems to be a lot less stressful for him right now than it was in previous years. But I'll give the edge to Dave. No knock on Schneider, but he's just been here so many times.
Dave, we've got to hit the break, so 15 seconds. As the longtime voice of the San Francisco Giants, how many Bay Area fans have just found it painful to have to watch you call another Dodgers World Series?
Painful. They don't like it. They don't like that I have to muster up the enthusiasm, but I do. It's the World Series. It's my job. So sorry.
You got it. Travel safe. Have a great call. Appreciate your time as always, Dave.
Awesome. Anytime.
Dave Flemming, everybody. Great
Muster
stuff.
up enthusiasm. I think that's what you call this show.
Stopped. He calling the Freddie Freeman shot. It was such a great call, and Giants fans everywhere were like, "No, Dave, no."